Welcome to the Danube Institute, to our joint program this morning, working in partnership with the Ministry of Culture and Innovation. The topic we're addressing today is sustainable workforce development in emerging regions. I'm Melissa O'Sullivan, your Master of Ceremonies today, Deputy Director at Danube Institute. And on behalf of all of my colleagues here at the Danube Institute, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Today, I'd like to start by introducing Christoph Berisch, who's the International Director of the Danube Institute. Thank you.
Thank you. The first time I went to the U.S. was during the COVID pandemic, when labor force displacement was rampant. Soon I learned the connection between the labor force displacement of the native-born, less educated population and their workforce participation and mass migration. Meaning that the newcomers to the United States are pushing certain segments of the population out of the workforce. Now, the most heavily affected regions by this displacement live in the areas of the United States that we call the heartland, which is an expression to describe the core of American identity, traditional values, and economical self-sufficiency. Yet this displacement didn't start under the COVID pandemic and the mass migration crisis of Joe Biden, but during the industrial decline of the 1970s. After decades of neglect and open shunning by the liberal left-wing media, by the election of 2016, and here I'm going to borrow the words of Christopher Caldwell, so by 2016, this heartland went from the banjos and cornbread to snap cards and OxyContin. In everyday parlance, it's also got a less appealing name, flyover country. Yet the election of 2016 and 2022 showed us that these regions and the deplorables, to borrow an expression from Hillary Clinton, who live there will not just go quietly into darkness. But why are we here today at the Danube Institute? For two reasons. Because although President Trump's draconian migration policies, as well as his trade policies aimed at revitalizing American manufacturing, did help these regions, more work is still to be done. And two, from Central and Eastern Europe to Appalachia and the American South, communities are confronting shared challenges: the workforce skill gaps, youth outmigration, educational inequality, and the urgent need to align trading systems with the evolving labor market. And it seems, standing here right now, it seems that it's not just migration policy and family policy where knowledge transfer is relevant between Hungary and the United States, but also in the topic of sustainable workforce development in emerging regions. If we look at our small nation in Central Europe, as a result of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's work-based society model that he presented as a direct alternative to the Western welfare state, labor force participation between 2010 and 2025 rose from 53% to 68%, the number of total employment from 3.7 million to 4.7 million, and unemployment dropped from 11% to 4.5%. We are here today to see how the policies enacted in Hungary could be transferred to the heartland of the United States, and also to learn from our American friends how we can integrate their unique experiences into our labor landscape. Before we start our conference, a special thanks goes to Gergely Pálmai, Deputy State Secretary for Vocational Education, and the Hungary's Ministry of Culture and Innovation, as well as Carter LaCroix, CEO and founder of American Values Investment from the great state of Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I wish everyone a fruitful conference today. Thank you.
You can tell that Gergely and I are different types. Okay, now, next up, we have my great pleasure to introduce Gergely Palmai, who is the Deputy State Director for Vocational Education of the Ministry of Culture and Innovation, and he'll address the educational component of developing a sustainable workforce. So, Gergely.
Distinguished guests and transatlantic colleagues, welcome. Today, we launch the Hungary-Tennessee Workforce Development Cooperation Program for 2026-2029, a three-year commitment within the broader U.S.-Hungary educational and innovation partnership to strengthen workforce development. My keynote will briefly set the strategic frame for the panels that follow. The partnership this program represents did not emerge from nowhere. It reflects a US-Hungarian relationship that has reached new depth across diplomacy, security, science, and innovation, one that future historians may see as a turning point. What gives this era its character is cooperation grounded in shared interests and values, the dignity of work, national sovereignty, the centrality of family, and the belief that a society's strength is measured by the quality of life available to ordinary working people. That conviction is what brought US to vocational education and training, and why this conference matters. Before describing what we are building today, I want to account for what already exists, because the partnership announced at the conference sounds different when you can name what has been built before it. Last year, Minister Balázs Hankó led a Hungarian delegation to MIT, Harvard, Yale, and Georgetown. At MIT, an agreement was concluded for joint research groups between the American institution and Hungary's Hunren research network. At Harvard, the minister met with Boston Children's Hospital Innovation Vice President Irene Abrams to develop collaboration in medical and health science innovation, drawing on the clinical scale of Hungary's 4 major medical universities. Most recently, the minister announced a joint consortium between Pázmány Péter Catholic University and the Catholic University of America in Washington, supported by $1 million of Hungarian government funding for the ethical dimensions of artificial intelligence. I name these not to catalogue achievements, but to establish a fact. Hungary has proven it can be a substantive partner to demanding institutions in the United States. The foundation for today's cooperation is not diplomatic goodwill, but a clear structural parallel. Central and Eastern Europe, including Hungary, faces familiar challenges in less developed regions. Communities built around industries that no longer exist, youth emigration, intergenerational undereducation, and the mismatch between education systems and labor market needs. Appalachia and the rural American South face similar, often more acute problems: youth outmigration, entrenched intergenerational poverty, family instability linked to economic precarity, and the opioid epidemic that has devastated communities. In parts of Tennessee, as in parts of eastern Hungary, education and training systems are asked not only to provide skills, but also structure, purpose, and the pathway back to participation. This shows why VET matters beyond economics. A strong vocational system does not only fill labor market gaps, it restores agency. This shared structural condition makes our cooperation not only convenient, but meaningful. We are partners facing the same challenges. Hungary comes to this partnership with a VET system that has been fundamentally transformed over the past decade and has produced results worth examining. Our students regularly claim top positions at WorldSkills and EuroSkills, the Olympic Games of technical education, open international competitions that demonstrate genuine excellence. Hungarian institutions and policy actions also contributed substantively to the Herning Declaration of 2025, a major European statement on the future of vocational education. Hungary helped shape it actively, not only as an EU presidency state at the time of its first drafting, but also due to the fact that most policy actions that the declaration entails are already embedded in and achieved by the Hungarian VET system. Most recently, we introduced a new qualification pathway integrating VET with university study in a single program, allowing students to earn both a technical qualification and a university degree. Built jointly by vocational institutions and universities, it represents a major structural innovation. I say this not to close a conversation, but to open one. Hungary's VET system is strong enough to be honest. There are things we have not yet managed to build, and the Tennessee visit showed us several of them. The field visits before this conference were not ceremonial, but instructive on both sides. In Tennessee's high schools and career and technical education centers, I saw the real integration of technical training into general education years. Students earn industry credentials alongside academic qualifications, and the transition from school to work is not a cliff edge, but a carefully designed, employer-connected gradient. This is something Hungary intends to learn from. In adult and workforce training institutions, I saw institutional agility, the ability to identify employer needs, design training, and place people in jobs within months. This responsiveness is a systemic strength Hungary is working to replicate. Our Tennessee colleagues also told us what they saw in Hungary: a strong equity infrastructure with nationally scaled, individually tailored catch-up and inclusion programs for students at risk of dropping out. They were interested in these evidence-based methods, as well as in our electromobility training capacity and deep industry VET integration. Both countries have things the other admires. That is the only honest basis for partnerships between equals. A central partner in this cooperation is East Tennessee State University. I want to thank President Brian Noland for his personal commitment. ETSU has built a highly practical workforce development pipeline, connecting education to labor market needs and serving its communities. The collaboration can expand to further partnerships between Hungarian universities and the Appalachian region. Let me be precise about what sustainable workforce means. It is a workforce that can be continuously reproduced, not just trained but retained, not just qualified but connected to economic and social structures that give those qualifications real context. It does not drain from the communities that need it, become employed when the economy shifts or leave people trained for jobs that no longer exists. Achieving this requires addressing key structural barriers, skill gaps and mismatches, which employer-connected VET systems address by design, youth outmigration, where training alone is not enough if people have no reason to stay, intergenerational undereducation, where Hungary's catch-up programs are relevant, and family instability and poverty, which are closely tied to workforce challenges. Artificial intelligence is also central. Labor displacement by AI is already happening. The question is how we respond. Systems capable of continuous, fast, affordable reskilling will manage this transition. Those that cannot will face structural unemployment. Hungary's approach is clear. AI expansion and human capability expansion must proceed in parallel, with VET as the key instrument. Our bilateral AI ethics consortium between PASMAI and the Catholic University of America reflects this principle. Ethical AI must serve workers, not simply displace them. I want to be direct about something that is sometimes left implicit in policy discussions on workforce development. A sustainable workforce is not something governments can build alone. Companies are not passive beneficiaries of training systems. When designed correctly, they are active co-developers. Hungary's experience shows this clearly. Multinational companies, particularly in advanced manufacturing and electromobility, invest in training infrastructure, co-design curricula, provide workplace apprenticeship, and commit to hiring the people they help train. That is the dual training model in practice, a daily operational reality, not a brochure concept. These investments secure skilled talent while aligning workforce strategies with ESG commitments benefits both communities and supply chain resilience. The pandemic underscored that resilient supply chains require resilient local workforces built through strong education systems. The invitation to corporate partners in this program is not just to participate, but to lead. Companies engaging deeply with VET, curriculum design, apprenticeships provision, and long-term talent pipeline planning will be most competitive in the decade ahead. Hungary is today one of Europe's principal centers of electromobility production. Major electric vehicle and components manufacturers have chosen Hungary as their development base. That reflects our industrial transition, workforce quality, and a decade of deliberate policy investment. As a result, Hungary's VET system keeps pace with technology. Trainers work with real production, equipment, and curricula are continuously updated in real partnership with the companies. The United States is moving fast on electric vehicles through policy, investment, and market demand, but training infrastructure, as far as we have experienced in Tennessee, has not yet kept the same pace. Trainers, curricular equipment, and institutional experience will need to expand quickly to produce electromobility technicians at scale. Hungary's offer is concrete: operational partnership. Our VET institutions are ready to work alongside American institutions in building electromobility training capacity. The second major cooperation domain is healthcare and social care, because it is equally urgent and even more directly connected to the survival of rural communities. In rural Tennessee, as in rural Hungary, the most acute workforce shortage is in these sectors. Healthcare and social care are also one of the most powerful engines of social. These are professions that can be entered from disadvantaged starting points. They are needed in exactly the communities where other professional opportunities cannot be relocated, automated, or imported. In Tennessee, I saw impressive models, and I hope that Hungary will adapt these approaches in our next development cycle. A dedicated expansion of healthcare support and social care pathways, deliberately connected to the equity infrastructure that our catch-up programs have built. I have described several parts of Hungary's VET system, but its most important feature is its completeness. At one hand, Hungary has its catch-up and inclusion programs. These are individually tailored interventions using small group instruction, dedicated mentors, adapted pedagogy, and flexible scheduling to keep students engaged who might otherwise leave. They are documented, evaluated, and internationally recognized as a serious approach to the hardest problem in VET, keeping the most vulnerable students in the system long enough to benefit from it. At the other hand, we have a national competition ecosystem that feeds through regional and national championships to WorldSkills and EuroSkills. This is how Hungary identifies its most talented young technical professionals. And it is also how we signal to students and families and employers that vocational excellence is a source of national pride, not a consolation for those who did not make it to university. In between, we have the new dual qualification pathway named Certified Technician. VET Certified plus university degree in a single program, built jointly by our vocational and higher education institutions. The hierarchy between academic education and vocational education is wrong, and it is expensive. It wastes talent, misallocates educational investment, and leaves labor market undersupplied in precisely the areas where they are most needed. Binding the system together is a framework of material support. From the first day of vocational training, students receive scholarship. During apprenticeships, they earn a real training wage paid by the employer partner. On entering the labor market, they receive a starting grant, and in their early working years, they are eligible for a dedicated workers' credit facility to support the practical costs of beginning a professional life. These measures operate within a broader family support architecture, housing assistance, family allowances, and tax reliefs, making it realistically possible to build a home and the future in Hungary on a skilled worker's income. This is investment with an expectation attached. The state invests in its workers, and it expects them to invest their lives here because they have been given a concrete reason to stay. I believe this logic applies equally to Tennessee. Training people brilliantly and then losing them to Nashville or to the coasts is an expensive form of development assistance to wealthier places. The question of retention is the question of whether community development is a serious political priority or a rhetorical one. Let me conclude with the concrete. With the 2026-2029 Hungary-U.S. Workforce Cooperation Program, Hungary and Tennessee are committed to the following: structured mobility for VET students and trainers, Hungarians in Tennessee institutions, Americans in Hungarian wet centers, as working participants in each other system. Joint curriculum development, beginning in electromobility and healthcare support. A bilateral vet working group of practitioners regularly, reporting honestly to ministerial level and empowered to recommend changes in both directions. A corporate partnership framework, engaging the multinationals operating in Hungary as co-founders and co-designers of joint training initiatives under this program. Integration of this VET cooperation into the broader U.S.-Hungary education and innovation dialogue, building on the science and AI cooperation architecture already in place. A program review at the midpoint, 2027-2028, with published findings and adjusted commitments. University-to-university partnership between the Appalachian region and Hungarian universities, building the academic dimensions of the cooperation. Let me end where every policy discussion should end, with the people it's actually about. They are in workshops in Debrecen. They are in training centers in Tennessee, acquiring skills that will allow them to stay in the town where their grandparents settled and where, without this, their children might not. They are in catch-up classes, in recovery programs, in community colleagues, in small groups with a mentor who has decided that no one in this room gets to declare them a lost cause. They are the reason this program matters. Sustainable workforce is not a concept. It is a commitment. Hungary has made that commitment in policy, in investment, and in the daily work of educators and employers who have decided that their students and their workers are worth building a system for. I believe the United States, and specifically Tennessee, is making the same commitment. I believe the parallel is real, and I believe the partnership is consequential. We are ready. Let us build. Thank you very much.
Wow, can you imagine how exciting it is as an American to hear about all of this great stuff taking place? And now it's time to break out the first prop of the day, maybe the last. Thank you, Carter. Where is Carter? There you are. Thank you, my good friend Carter, who I didn't even know is going to be here, Carter LaCroix. I'll be introducing you shortly. And now we have a video message, The American Perspective on Regional Workforce Transformation. It's delivered by the Honorable Rusty Crowe, State Senator, the Tennessee General Assembly. So.
First, let me tell you that I wish I could be with you today. But our Senate is in session until probably the last of May. So I do want to thank you for the close friendships our country has with Hungary. We're very proud of the work that the Danube Institute has done. Istvan has been a great ambassador for your important mission, as has been my friend Carter LaCroix. Thank you for holding this important transatlantic event on workforce development. Our governor and legislature have worked really hard for the past several years to bring career technical education vocational opportunities for our Tennessee students to the forefront. CTE programs are available in high school and in our community colleges and in our Tennessee College of Applied Technology. We call them TCATs. We have transformed the potential for students to easily be able to access CTE careers by fully funding through scholarships, dual enrollment, college credits that can be taken in high school as juniors and seniors, so they can literally walk across the stage when they graduate from high school with not only their high school degree, but a CTE degree as well in programs like advanced manufacturing, agriculture, plumbing, welding, nursing, construction, computer technology, automotive technology, industrial maintenance, and many other career-ready programs. So we're very proud of the progress we've made in linking the needs of our workforce with our curriculum so that we can now offer our young students these kinds of programs that they can go out and be ready to work in. Thank you so much for hosting this important transatlantic event. Let us know how we can help you. Good luck and Godspeed.
That's marvelous. And I'm going to have a conversation with my own dear senator from Alabama about we need to get busy here and follow Tennessee's good example. Now we'll start with our first panel, and it is entitled Equalizing Opportunity, Shared Challenges, Shared Solutions. To moderate this panel, it will be moderated by Gergely Deboji, who is one of my colleagues here at the Danube Institute. And we will have Carter LaCroix, founder and CEO, American Values Investment. Istvan Forgac, social inclusion policy expert. Zsolt Hudak, instructor, Wesley Miklos Technical School and Dormitory. And I think what I'd like to do at this moment is call Carter to the stage to deliver the keynote. Welcome. Good friend.
Good morning and welcome, and greetings from the United States and the great state of Tennessee. If you don't know, Tennessee is the home of, I like to say, 3 different heroes. One is Alvin York, who was one of the most decorated World War I veterans, and received the Medal of Honor. And then you have Andrew Jackson, President, and Davy Crockett. So greetings from Tennessee. Thank you, Melissa, for that kind... Where's Melissa go? Oh, there you go. Okay. Thank you, Melissa, for that kind introduction. And Istvan's not here, I guess, today. Okay, but Istvan, thank you, wherever you are. And all the dedicated team at the Danube Institute for creating this important conference on workforce development. It is a pleasure and honor to be included. I am also grateful to be relieved of one of my daily morning chores at home in Tennessee, scooping the cat litter. So thank you. Thank you for relieving me from that chore. So my journey began with Hungary in 2022 when I heard these words from a speech given by your Prime Minister at the CPAC conference in Dallas, Texas. He said, first and foremost, we need to trust our Judeo-Christian teachings. They help us decide what actions are right and what actions are wrong. If you believe in God, you also believe that we are humans created in God's image. Therefore, we have to be brave enough to address even the most sensitive questions. Indeed, in order to effectively address important issues like workforce development, we want to put them in the context of the Judeo-Christian principles enumerated in the Bible, the book that is foundational to the United States, Hungary, and literally all of Western civilization. Actually, Andrew Jackson said about that book, sir, is the rock on which our republic rests. But it's also the book on which all of civilization rests. When Istvan asked me to help with speakers for this event, I immediately thought of trying to get a representative from one of the most respected companies in America, Chick-fil-A. I'm convinced Chick-fil-A is one of the most respected and successful companies in America because they strive to operate with Christian principles, including, believe it or not, closing on Sunday, one of the biggest days of operations for many restaurants. When a delegation came from Hungary 2 weeks ago, I think a few are here today, when that delegation came to our area in Tennessee, a local Chick-fil-A restaurant rolled out the red carpet to give them a taste of what biblical values in business can achieve. I don't think any of them had ever been to a Chick-fil-A. You might ask them what they thought. Anybody here that was at that, did you go to Chick-fil-A? Did you like it?
Yes, very good.
Very good. Okay. All right. I'm delighted that Daryl Fowler, the owner-operator of that Chick-fil-A restaurant, came with me and will be featured, yes, and will be featured in the next panel. By the way, I was given by one of your delegation from Hungary, I was given this. Well, I was given this Rubik's Cube, but it was all me. But right before he handed it to me, he mixed it all up and he wanted me to fix it. So I thought I had it fixed because all the white is on one side, but Melissa explained to me, no, they have to be not only fixed, but they have to be all read in the right order and everything. Anyway, so if anybody can help me with this, it would be greatly appreciated. As founder and CEO of American Values Investments, our goal is to target for investment stocks of companies that we believe best reflect the biblical values upon which America, Hungary, and indeed all of Western civilization are built, as a way to give the average investor a way to positively impact America. You can impact your country with investing. Sadly, Chick-fil-A is a private company and therefore does not have a publicly traded stock we can include in our portfolio. Sorry for us. Upon hearing Viktor Orban's 2022 speech at CPAC that I quoted before, I was amazed that a world leader would be so bold as to proclaim his outward support of Judeo-Christian values. I immediately wanted to find out more about this bold world leader. I told Rusty Crowe about him, who we just heard, and Rusty suggested creating a proclamation from the state of Tennessee commending Viktor Orban for his support of Judeo-Christian principles. I then met the Danube Institute's director, Istvan Kiss, who invited me to Hungary to personally deliver that proclamation. So my wife and I came on our first ever trip to Hungary. What a trip. And we're pleased to be able to present the proclamation to a Hungarian cabinet member, which was great. But on the last full day we were here, my wife Debbie said, I would like to eat some Hungarian goulash. So we were directed to a restaurant in the Castle District. We sat down to eat, and there, by a quirk of fate, just a few tables away, was your Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban eating lunch. We happened to have an extra copy. We just happened to have an extra copy of the proclamation, and Viktor Orban was gracious to receive it and speak with us for several minutes. I believe that Hungary is extremely well positioned for dramatic economic growth, primarily as a result of the country's affinity for Christian values, which can play a key role in workplace development. It would be my pleasure to continue to facilitate a mutually beneficial transatlantic relationship between the United States, in particular the great state of Tennessee, and the great country of Hungary. I will be here for the next 2 weeks in order to attend CPAC and would welcome the opportunity to meet more of you during my stay. given my competitive nature, I would like to issue a friendly challenge. Okay, are you ready? To play any of you, as a matter of fact, Daryl also play any of you in what is now the fastest growing sport in the United States, pickleball. Pickleball. I did bring my paddle. Here it is. Thank you again for this opportunity to be here to represent the United States and Tennessee in this great event. And I will leave you with the last two words that the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban told me. Keep fighting. Thank you. All right.
And now I would like to call to the floor. Carter is already here with that marvelous opening keynote he gave. Istvan Forgach, Zsolt Hudek, and Gergely, our moderator, is already here. Gentlemen, remember to really hold the microphones close to your mouth so it records every precious word you say for the video. Thank you very much. Gergely, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Actually, the arrangement among us in the panel was to actually make our panelists summarize the core problems we are talking about. This panel is supposed to be an honest one, because this conference requires honest contributions about these issues. Well, when I took over this task to arrange this conference, I was really surprised at the very beginning, because I was talking about with both the ministry and Istvan from the background professional sphere, and I was really happy to hear that we share a common problem which we can solve together, because my learning about this issue is that Hungary has something to teach to the state of Tennessee and vice versa. And now I would like everyone in this panel to actually summarize the core problem to the audience, because I suppose not everyone understands what's at stake currently. We are talking about the gold reserve of every society. We are talking about people who feel now left outside of the society and waiting to get included into the welfare model. We are talking about the golden reserve, and I would like to give an opportunity to Istvan to get into a detail. Let's make it up to 5 minutes, and based on this summary, I would like to get into the details. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It will be a kind of keynote, but maybe not a real keynote, but just let me give a short background of this whole event. And there is always a way of being in a lucky situation when all the odds are on your side. A couple of years ago, it was more than 2 years ago, I got a call from Mr. Jókai Károly, who's the director of the Hungarian Fulbright Commission, and he just came to me with a very, very kind request that, hey, István, there is a Fulbright group of professors from Tennessee, and they would like to learn a bit about Hungary and the social inclusion. We had a very fruitful conversation with one of the professors, and that was something like a starting point to start to think about how the social inclusion and the workforce development issues are mostly similar in the countryside of the US, especially in Tennessee, and mostly in the rural area of Hungary. Based on that, we started to think about a cooperation with stakeholders from Tennessee, and we worked out a program that includes Roma University students for a study trip to visit the East Tennessee State University in Johnson City. And we also started to think about the cooperation on the level of the technical education. And because last year, the Deputy State Secretary, Mr. Palmer, already mentioned it, that Minister Hanko had a visit in the US last year and had an agreement with the State Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, on various ways of cooperation between Hungary and US. We started to think about how to establish a cooperation on the level of the technical education. And we got to the point that right now we are absolutely in the gate of start this cooperation. And for this, we have Hungarian technical education centers that are ready to cooperate. We already have some American stakeholders who got the clue what we would like to establish. And right now we have, I think I can say that absolutely a historical launch of this cooperation within these perfect circumstances. Actually, Gergely, I was here for a couple of times at this building, but it's amazing even now for me. So I really love the environment. I'm very, very thankful for the Danube Institute to organize this event, for you also to travel across the ocean and to be with us for a couple of days, couple of weeks. So I do hope that this cooperation will be, within the next 3 years, a fruitful cooperation between Hungary and Tennessee, or even some other states from the Appalachia. And right now, I'm very, very curious where we can get during this panel.
Thank you, István. Mr. Hudak, you are working on a field, and actually you have field experience about this issue. Well, you are working in Nyíregyháza, and for the audience, according to the even the latest stereotypes, Nyíregyháza is among those places in Hungary where it's the hardest among the hardest to get by. Could you please give us a brief introduction about this area and what problems you face there?
Yes. Good morning. I am an educator in a vocational school, and basically my colleagues and I are responsible for the next generation of workforce. I've got a small keynote, if you don't mind,
Please.
if I can show you that. Okay, so basically I work in a vocational school, as just mentioned, in one of the most disadvantaged area of Hungary. It's in the eastern part of the country. And in our vocational schools, we have got the most disadvantaged students. Dropping out from the school is quite big, and what I aim to do is to keep them in the school system. This is my group of students at the current moment. What you should know is that I collect those students in the school who come into the school and at the same time already going out from the school because of behavior problems or academic problems. So I collect these students just to give you an idea who they are. They tried to commit suicide. They were treated at psychiatry because of taking drugs. One of them was in prison for taking and dealing with drugs. Another one started the school in our school 3 times because his father burned the house down while he was sleeping. So I collect these students in order to give them purpose, in order to give them self-esteem. And so how we do that? Okay. We build Lego mosaics. we are very lucky because the Lego factory, one of the biggest Lego factory, is near our city, and we work extremely close with the company. And what I do with my students is creating pixelated art, sometimes using real artwork, and then we go to primary schools, secondary schools, art institutions, and with students over there, we build these mosaics. It sounds a bit like a simple thing, but for me, it's an extremely complex program. And of course, we need the help of, for example, our school. This is our studio. These students sometimes don't have electricity at home, so they need a base where they can go anytime, where they are supported and where they are given love. So we've got a very nice studio in our school. And not only the school helps us, our vocational school, but also our vocational education center, which is situated near our school. Basically, the education center gives us transportation, so we can go around the country reaching out thousands of primary school students. And of course, we need the help of Lego, which is like one of the legs is getting the bricks from the factory for the builds, and also we've got financial support from them. Now, how does this help my students? Well, basically, by now, because we've got so many programs outside our school, it's a requirement for my students to behave well, not to miss classes, and of course, they have to academically improve. If they fail one of these, they just simply don't come with us. Nothing is forced on them. We don't have any rules in our group. They can come into the studio, they can help us whenever they want, and whichever project they want. Now, why is it important? Because while they are with different primary schools or with different institutions, they see that there is a future. If they work hard, if they have self-esteem, and if they do what they have to do, like teach, learning all the time, and of course working with their students, their peers, they just simply realize that there is a way out from where they come from. When they come to the school and we tell them that you should learn because that's your future, they just look at us with blank eyes because around them they don't see that. Not their friends, not their families are supportive in that area, so they need an example. And because they experience this example, because they see that there is a way out from poverty, they start to improve. Now, these days, we have got loads of connections around the country. We've been asked by the Museum of Fine Arts to do different projects with them. Actually, we are going to the Museum of Nights of Museums this year. We also work with the Hungarian Gallery and hundreds of institutions around the country, also worldwide. Now, these projects, which we do with the students, enforce them that they should care about their future. And through art, they learn something like soft skills as well. Also, it's very important for me to get a sense of local community. So we work for the school. Actually, they built the Globe Theatre for the school. So now it is part of the curriculum, so students can see and touch the actual theater. Also, we've got a new project, and 4 different vocations joined in, and we are going to finish that project like in 2 months' time. Now, what are the results? Because that's the most important thing. Before the pandemic, some students dropped out. We started in 2014. But after the pandemic, almost the complete team changed because they finished school during the pandemic. And that was the time when we got financial support from the Lego group. The results, 13 of my students who finished school already have work, and 11 of them stayed in their profession. So they don't choose different vocations. They stay where they are. 5 of them came back to the school to do another vocational program. Actually, one of them, who I just mentioned you that started school 3 times, he finished school and then he came back for a 2-year course, and now he's got his own hair studio in our city. She just finished a year ago and she's enrolling to university now. And now I've got 2 students, 2 gypsy students, who just came to school because they had to, because they were 14 years old. But now they are the top 2 students in the class, and they are preparing for university. So basically, with this program, with the help of a dual partner, because we work with LEGO not only in this project, but in different educational projects, with their help, basically 43 lives were changed. All of my students work. 2 of them have families now. And as I said, before the pandemic, 6 of them moved abroad to Germany and Austria. But since the pandemic, none of my students are thinking of going abroad. They are staying in the country in their own profession. And I just would like to show you what they are capable of. This is our latest project. This is going to be the building of Parliament. An autistic artist friend created the original one. I don't know, I only know it in metrics. It's going to be 25 meters long, 10 meters high, which is a 2-story building. We are using 4 million Lego bricks for this project. And my students, who you saw in the first picture, they are the ones who creating it with this, with the students all over the country. Already 75% has been built. This is like 25%. And they have engaged over 14,000 students across the country. And one of their own idea was, I don't know how much you can see, the blue sky is not only a blue sky. We ordered special dots from LEGO, and we are distributing these parts all over the country, so the blind and visually impaired children can put messages with Braille writing. So what I wished to show you with this is that those students who are basically absolutely, they don't have future, they can have a future. And they are just as important as anyone else when the opportunity is given to them. So they can become a very essential part of the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hudak, and we will get into details slightly later. Now, Carter, based on what you heard about what's happening in Hungary and what kind of problems we have to deal with, Mr. Hudak talked about suicide, imprisonment, drugs, and other much worse things. Could you please reflect on what you just heard and introduce the current situation in Tennessee too?
Yes,
in this regard?
Thank you. That was absolutely amazing program that you're working on and heading up. And I guess one of my first questions is, how can we donate to that? So I would like to say, I mean, seriously, one of the things in the United States that maybe is not as broad here, but the United States has been rated as one of the top most generous countries in the world for years. We have a very bountiful and expansive nonprofit network. So there's all kinds of nonprofit, a lot of faith-based nonprofits that you can donate to in order to do things like what you were doing. So I hope that, who knows, maybe we can help you build out more of the nonprofit charitable network to fund things like this, because there are there are tons, there are thousands and thousands of Americans that love to donate to things just like that.
Actually, Carter, one of the goals of this kind of interchange of ideas to promote these things. So it would be beneficial for the both sides. But still, if you talk about the society in Tennessee, what kind of problems the youth have to tackle there, and what kind of responses the state currently has to these issues?
Well, there's all kinds of problems. I think drugs is a problem. I think that I guess I like to focus on more of not what the problems is. It's easy to see the problems. Abraham Lincoln said, if you look for the bad in somebody hoping to find it, you certainly will. It's easy to see what's wrong in society, but what's interesting to me is where are things, are lights, where are things, where are organizations, where are people that are raising a standard like you. And we have those in Tennessee. There's plenty of issues that we have. One of the lights, I believe, in Tennessee is we are being very aggressive in promoting school choice. And I believe so much of the answers to these problems can be answered through the private sector and private schools and the churches and the charitable organizations. So that may, but we have problems just like everybody else. And again, it's not so much, I just like to think, where are the answers? That's the hard thing, and I'm just so grateful to hear about what you're doing.
About the problems. When we go to different venues, we always have problems coming up. And what I always tell my students is, I don't care about the problem, solve it, because you are there. You have to solve the problem. And I think they get this mentality home after a few years. So now they don't depend on others, but they try to solve their own problems. And probably that's part why they are getting successive in life as well.
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Hudak, what was really interesting about the concept you mentioned, and that's what interests Carter too. What kind of funding do you get, and how do you have to actually deal with these resources to get these magnificent outcomes?
Yeah. As I said, we've got our own studio in the school, and we are in a very special position because we've got 24/7 reception, and because of the problems, my students can get in anytime. So that's how the school can support us. Also, as I mentioned, the vocational center provides us transportation everywhere in the country, and we've got financial support from the Lego factory. And we usually get that, okay, it's very good for Lego because it's huge marketing for them, but right at the beginning, they and I also were at consensus because we didn't want to promote this on a large scale. So they don't promote how they support us, and it's because my students are extremely volatile. And we don't want them to be in focus for like 15 minutes because they've got their own problems. So basically all the foundation comes from these three sources.
Thank you. And still the question goes to you. If we imagine a day of an average student who participates in your program, how that day or how that week goes by, and how they are actually practically included in, for example, the works of Lego?
My students, you mean? Actually, some of them have already worked for Lego, some of them for years, but because of family issues, they left. But on a daily basis, what we do is they have to go to school, my students, of course. Since our programs are during the week, as I said, they have to academically be at the top. so that they can come with us. If there is an issue, they don't come. And because they perform extremely well now, there is no problem. And of course, because I've got like 10, 15 students, also those ones who are at work and they are, for example, free, they come with us. So basically, we always have 2, 3 students who can come, and they don't miss so many classes. I don't know if that was the answer to the question.
Yes. István, you've been examining these issues for a very, very long time. And if we see, for example, the past 15 years, in which situation was these sorts of issues then, and what kind of changes took effect in the past 15 years, and where are we now, and what kind of outcomes can we expect?
Thank you for the question. It is a complex issue when we talk about social inclusion and technical education. It's very, very important because I think all around the world when we talk about social inclusion, we really have to make it underlined that social inclusion has to come from incomes, from jobs, from workforce. So in Hungary, after 2010, the government decided to push this issue to the level of the workforce. And I was so happy because I haven't been engaged in this issue for more than 25 years. And I always say that the social inclusion or the issue of the Roma, you mentioned the gypsies, it is not dedicatedly only about the Roma, but mostly about the Roma, the biggest ethnic minority of Hungary. We talk about more than 1 million people. So this issue is not primarily a social issue anymore. It is absolutely an economic issue. So if we would like to have a successful social inclusion, we have to put it into this angle. We have to think about the economic issue or the economic perspective of this issue. And I think in the last 15, 16 years, in this period, so many programs tried to push this whole process into the right direction. And I know very well the state deputy, the state deputy director from the Ministry of Culture and Innovation, and we talked so much about this issue that the question of the Roma in Hungary should be solved via the labor market, and for that we need the technical education. Right now the Hungarian system is very much supporting the Roma communities all around the country, but not based on ethnic origin, based on their social situation and on the opportunities that the Hungarian technical education can offer at the moment for them. And that's very, very important that it is a demographic issue in Hungary. We have to talk about this issue because at the moment in the Roma communities, the number of the Roma children is still higher than in the non-Roma families. Actually, it is not a problem, but we have to see that these kids, these children are coming from different environment, from different families that has less resources, and they need more help, more support, but they have to change their mindset also. It is very important to change the mindset. And what we learned in Tennessee just 2 weeks ago, it's very, very important that the technical education is not a B option. It is not a second chance. The technical education can be a prior option. It can be absolutely a goal to get qualification in the technical education. And even in the U.S., it was very, very funny because in all the institutes, education institutes that we visited, they underlined that being someone who is a welding man, that's a good profession, can earn a lot of money in the U.S. and can enter the labor market very soon. In Hungary, this is the same. Getting qualification in the technical education gives the opportunity to enter the labor market as soon as possible. And if someone is in a disadvantaged situation, maybe this is the best way to help, even not for himself or herself, but for the family as well. And the current Hungarian technical education system is giving all the support for that. So I think this is the way of helping the social inclusion in Hungary and to help even the Hungarian economy as well, because I think we need the local, the Hungarian, the national workforce instead of those ones who are coming from, I don't know, Vietnam or Chinese or just from the Far East.
Okay. So we can agree that people living actually in the state, in the neighborhood, are the gold reserve of the society.
I think absolutely, and as I said, changing the mindset in the communities, it's very, very important. And with my colleagues, when we visit these local communities all around the country in Hungary, we can realize that the youth and the families, they know what is this about, but we have to push them. We have to keep them on this track, just like they do it in Nyíregyháza or in many other centers where they do it. And this is what we learned in Tennessee, that there are so many struggles that these families are facing with. Drug is a real problem, domestic violence is a real problem, and actually how to change the general mindset of a local community. We talk about hundreds and thousands of people on local level. We have to change their mindset. We have to make them believing their own future, and we have to make them believing that they are essential for their local community, for their family, and for the Hungarian economy as well.
Now turning to Carter, what is the current mindset of the society about this issue there? Is it still rather a social issue or starting to turn into an economic issue? How does the local community participate in the local economy?
Well, I'd like to say that it's very important that the private sector get involved, because if it's government only, I'm afraid that's generally going to not work near as well. The private sector has to be involved. In one example, as far as alcohol rehab goes, if it's government only, it's not near as effective as faith-based organizations. So I think the private community, whatever government programs are there, they need to tap into the private community, the charitable community, so that these kids can get the incentive and feel the love that they need. And the other thing is creating incentive. If someone is incentivized, there's no stopping. No stopping that person. I remember all my dad did. I ended up on a scholarship for tennis at Georgia Tech, and one of the only things my dad ever did for me, well, he played tennis with me, but the other thing he did was, when I was about 13, he said, "I will give you $75 the first time you beat me in a set of tennis." And but he said it was a negative incentive too. He said, after the first year it goes down to 50, and after the second year, the third year goes down to 25. So I had a lot of incentive, and I beat him the first year. He said I slipped up and beat him a set the first year and got $75 and got a beautiful tennis racket. But I think incentive, figuring out how to incentivize these kids is critical, and also getting churches involved, getting people connected to God and the values that the church offers is critical.
And are there practical concepts in this regard in Tennessee? If you could elaborate on that.
I'm sorry, what?
Are there any practical concepts on this you could elaborate on? It sounds really interesting and exciting what you just talked about. Is there any working in practice concept in this regard?
Well, I think Daryl's going to talk about how Chick-fil-A does it, and that's a very practical example in the private sector. It's totally private, and these kids are motivated. We have another, actually, fast food restaurant in our area called Pal's. You've probably never heard of it because they will not go outside of our area because they don't want to diminish their quality. They have been written up in Harvard Business Review. They have won the Malcolm Baldrige Award twice. And it's amazing. You pull up to their store and you notice something different. So them and Chick-fil-A are great examples of how young people can be motivated, because I think character development is a lot of times not thought about, because if you can develop the character, a lot of the skills will come as a result of developing that character and the incentive.
Now, István, you just only arrived from a field trip from Tennessee. And what kind of challenges and responses caught your attention based on what you know about this issue in Hungary?
As I said, there are similarities between Tennessee and Hungary, but what I've learned as one of the most important difference is that, and it is again about the general mindset, that if you have to pay $15,000 for a year just having a technical education qualification, it will be worth it enough for you. So you will not thinking about just giving up and going away because you have to pay back the money if you were not able to attend at least 50% of the school period. In Hungary, everything is free. And besides everything is free, the government gives taxation opportunities that helps you. The government gives you scholarship. You can get a so-called worker loan. So the Hungarian government, I would say that, no, I wouldn't say that it's overwhelmed, but the Hungarian government gives so much opportunities, and it is something like a safe space, the technical education in Hungary. Let me say this. I know that there are struggles that the families and the kids are facing with, but the Hungarian technical education at the moment is a kind of safe space, because if you would like to get a qualification, you have everything to achieve it. But if it is not worth enough for you, you leave it. And we work with students who already gave up and left the technical education after the age of 16. And many of them are regretting it within a couple of weeks, within a couple of months. It's easy to come back, to continue. Most of them never did. So somehow I think it should be changed in Hungary to realize that the Hungarian technical education system at the moment is one of the best ones in Europe, and it is one of the most helpful, or one of the most this is the best word. One of the best at the moment that can help you in the way of social inclusion. So you should keep yourself on this track. I don't know how to change in Hungary at the moment. I don't want to give any suggestion to the government, but I think somehow this mentality should be taken into Hungary as well. That if the government pays something for you, you should really value it. You should really keep it, and you should really use it for yourself and for the government and the society and the economy as well.
Thanks.
I
Carter.
noticed in the notes that it might be okay to disagree with one of the panelists. So my only suggestion is, oftentimes when something is free, people don't value it. So my thought is, maybe if they could pay something, that they would have a little bit of skin in the game. So that's just a thought. Just a thought. I love free too. I like free too. But sometimes I value things more if I have to pay a little something.
Okay, just one more thing, because even in Tennessee, the technical education is free, but the way of that you have to pay for that, but you can get a scholarship or a grant from Tennessee State for that, but you have to fill out forms. You have to submit it. You have to manage the administration for that. There's a program called Tennessee Hope. It means that it gives you all the scholarship and all the money that you need to be part of the technical education. But for that, you have to go and you have to manage it for yourself. That was also very interesting that in Tennessee, the Tennessee Lottery, state lottery, supports also the technical education. With this way, the whole society, the whole population of Tennessee can take part of this program and can contribute to the success of the technical education in Tennessee.
Yes, when I moved to Tennessee, it was one of the few states that did not have a lottery, and I was happy. I know that it generates a lot of money for things like that, but I just think a lot of times the lottery is something that people who are poor pour too much money in. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But I do think that these education programs are important, and we again, I think we need to incorporate the private sector to help give something that maybe the government can't offer. So anyway.
Okay, Mr. Hudak, you were talking about, and we are basically talking about youth, and it would be hard to dismiss that most of the youth everywhere are playing with the idea of going away and try their chances abroad or in other parts of the country. And you briefly mentioned that it's very similar in your network, this mindset. But obviously the goal would be to make these young people stay at their original place. Could you please elaborate on that? In what proportion, vaguely, in what proportion are these young people playing with this idea, and how you incentivize them to actually do not change place and make them stay?
What I see is that if we try to tell them what to do, they don't listen, they don't care about that. So they have to feel from inside that this is the right choice for them to stay there. And this is one reason why I try to make programs for them within the school, so they get involved more with the local community. So they have got this emotional connection, and if they have that one, and they've got, if they finish school, they can find jobs there. And because their families are there, they won't want to go abroad. Because the 6 students I have, now they are not students anymore, but the 6 of them who are in Germany and Austria, as I said, they were forced to go abroad because they couldn't find a proper job for themselves, and partly because their families needed more money, extra money. So they had to go abroad to be able to support their families. But I think what we need is a change for the students in the mindset. So like I said, 2 of my students who come from a small town near Nyíregyháza, they've got 5 brothers and sisters. Everyone in the small town is their cousins, uncles, aunts. And now they decided to go to university. And they already told me that they don't want to have kids until they finish university. And they wish to have like 2 children. So basically, it doesn't matter what we tell them. They have to feel the need to change in themselves, and then change will come.
Okay, before we move to the Q&A session, I would like to ask one thing from Carter, because we are talking about 2 different models. In Hungary, it's much easier for the state to incentivize the individuals because we have, because of our traditions. And actually, in the extreme side of capitalism, I imagine it's not the same in the U.S. But basically, you could incentivize either the individual or the company or both. And what do you think, Carter? How do you incentivize companies in an ideal world to actually make them interested in including the individual in their projects?
Well, I think, again, Chick-fil-A, and it probably speak to this, has done a great job of bringing in special needs young adults into their program and provides a great incentive for them to grow. I think that it is hard to incentivize somebody to do something, but you can refrain somebody from not doing something. So I think there should be can be boundaries, but then giving them opportunities and hope, in instilling hope to grow. Yes, I think there are a lot of models in the United States of disadvantaged young people being able to be incentivized and encouraged, and I love what you're doing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I do think hope is something that's very important. And when we lose hope, and I've been there, when we lose hope, it's hard to move forward. And instilling that hope can be a challenge. And maybe sometimes the only way to instill that hope is through our faith, that God can give us hope when there is no hope. So I believe churches can be an important part of this whole concept of developing young people and incentivizing them and giving them hope. Because if a young person has hope, it's hard to hold them back. But when they don't, it's hard to push a rope. It's hard to push a rope. If somebody's not incentivized, it's hard to say, hey, go do this. So I understand, and that's where we need God, literally, to help us all to and give us hope that there is something beyond what we have now, and especially these young people who are trying to figure out life.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's expand this conversation to a Q&A session, and I would like to make everyone participate in this very exciting conversation.
Thank you, gentlemen. That was an amazing discussion. Carter, to reassure you, there is private sector activity taking place specifically in this area. The Knights of Malta, and one of y'all may be able to help me flesh this out. They have a orchestra program for young students, and it involves a lot of people from the gypsy community. And they have a performance every year, which I attended in the fall of 2025. So they are helping via the private sector as well. I don't know if you're familiar with this program, Ishvan. If not, I can talk to you about it after. It's quite amazing.
Okay. Very nice.
Was it a question?
No, I was just explaining.
Yes.
There is private sector activity taking place.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Kata Karas, and I'm a strategic advisor for Diversitas Központ. And my question is that Hungary has a very well-established so-called Christian Szakkollégium. These are colleges or communities for university Roma and disadvantaged students, with academic mentoring, with a lot of volunteering, and a sense of community that can ensure the reduction of dropout rates to ensure that they will finish and complete their studies. Do you think such a system could work on the secondary level? And I'm asking maybe Mr. Hudak, Mr. Forgács primarily, do you think this could work on the secondary level in technical education, in vocational education, to create such communities faith-based, Christian-based communities for these students. And then maybe if you, Carter, have any such experience from the U.S. of any such initiatives. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, Daryl is probably better answering this question, but part of they have 4 C's. I don't want to say too much, but they have 4 C's. But the first one is caring. When these young people feel they're cared for, then you have a lot of leverage. You have a lot of leverage to help them. So I think that's critical. And love really ultimately starts with God because he loved us. So that's where it started. We have to feel that love from God, and then we can transfer that and offer that to young people. And when they feel that, then they are more apt to be willing to take steps that they otherwise wouldn't. But Chick-fil-A does a great job of that first step of caring.
I think in Hungary, the faith-based special talent care programs in, I think, almost all of the university cities in Hungary are very, very successful. But that is on the higher educational level. A couple of hundreds of Roma, Gypsy, and disadvantaged students are members of these programs at the moment. And I would be more than happy that in the future to establish such a program within the vocational education training system as well. And I would be more than happy that if that would work in Hungary, probably because we are talking about a cooperation, hopefully at least 3 to 5 years, maybe to put it into the focus of this cooperation and maybe to try it out in Tennessee as well.
Wonderful.
As for me, we don't discuss faith in the school. I know that some of my students in the team believe and they go regularly to church. Actually, they are the ones who would like to go to university. But I always let them talk about topics they want. I never ask any kind of questions about family, faith, nothing. If they wish to talk about something, I'm there, I'm open to that. But they don't really seem to open up about their faith. So I don't really know the answer.
Mm-hmm. Let me add something, excuse me, because I think we didn't talk about it. Loyalty is very, very important to the educational system. And right now, in your case, in Nyíregyháza, Lego gave the opportunity to build something on this level, to be loyal to something. And I think sport or special talent care programs can also establish this loyalty among the students towards the educational institute. It's very important, Carter, I have to mention this, that in Hungary, in the rural areas, very often, the whole education system seems very often, something strange to the Roma families. There are regulations, rules, homework. They have to get to school by 8 o'clock. So the whole education system in many Roma communities is something that is, they know that it's important, but something that they are fighting with very often. So this is why it is important to build a loyalty towards the educational institution. And as I said, it can be sport, it can be fun, it can be Lego, it can be whatever they want, but we have to build the loyalty towards the community of the education.
One thing I'll mention, and I noticed this in you, and I'll quote one of our famous, who I mentioned before, Davy Crockett. Have you ever heard Davy Crockett? No? No? Okay, well, a few. Okay, Davy Crockett was a famous congressman and pioneer from Tennessee, and he went to Texas to help defend the Alamo. He died at the Alamo, and I like to say that maybe Texas wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Davy Crockett. But one of the things that Davy Crockett said, and reminded me of you, He said, and I'm paraphrasing, but if I had to chop wood all day long or listen, I would chop wood all day long because it's a lot easier than listening. So the fact that you're open to listening to your students, that is a great act of love. So I commend you for that.
Sean.
Hi, thank you, gentlemen, for this discussion. My name is Sean Nodley. I'm an American visiting fellow here at the Danube Institute. That's right, USA. I have a question, I guess it's towards you, Mr. Lacroix.
Oh, no.
So as an American, my mother, she actually works for Chick-fil-A. She's the front of house for, nice to meet you. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk later. She works front of house at a small Chick-fil-A in Beaufort, South Carolina. And I thank God every day she got a job there. She's recently become a widow. 2 years ago, I'm her only child, and she at least works with a company that has these sort of values of taking care of the people in their community and stuff. And
beautiful.
While it's still a struggle, she's still able to work, and we're still able to make sure she has a house together and stuff like that. My question for you is, you bring up the importance of faith in God repeatedly during this discussion, and I agree, and especially Chick-fil-A is a great example of that. How do we, though, living in this sinful, fallen world that we do, how do we get other major corporations like Walmart or anything else in America to adopt sort of these best practices to try to replicate these sort of movements for their workers? Like, how can we do that?
That is a very good question. And our goal at American Values Investments is actually to try to find companies like Chick-fil-A in which to invest. And believe it or not, there are publicly traded companies that have motives and goals higher than money. I know it's hard to imagine that, but we actually, there's one company in which we invest, and their mission statement, their whole purpose statement is to honor God in all we do. That's their mission statement. It's not to make money, but it's to honor God in all we do. Now, they make tons of money, just like Chick-fil-A. So I believe, and there's a lot of faith-based businesses in America that are putting people, and as a matter of fact, Chick-fil-A, Troy Cathy said this, put people and principles before profits. And then, amazingly, millions of dollars of profits has shown up for Chick-fil-A. And it's difficult. It's difficult to take that risk.